We'll be going live right here, live on Instagram, live on Facebook, live on TikTok, live on YouTube. We are rocking and rolling. Today's workshop, if you're watching this on TikTok, guys, head on over to the YouTube channel, Boundaries and Brotherhood. Catch the slides, because today we're going to be talking about the workshop, pillar number 4, the crucible of execution, and how to build confidence as a sovereign man. Doc, you explain what we're going to be doing, the slides, and I'll pop the slides up, and we're going to be rocking and rolling. We got a lot to catch up.
Yes. So, yeah, good morning, everybody. Again, sorry for the technical difficulties. That was actually more so on my side than anything else. I don't want to buy a new computer, but maybe in the future I might have to. But in any case, welcome, to Boundaries and Brotherhood. Today we are talking about the 4th pillar, which is about confidence. And, we're going to be talking about how to build confidence and not wait for the right moment. A lot of times we think about waiting for the right moment before we do something, or once I'm not scared, or then I'll go and do it, or once the time is ready, or when the feeling comes. That's not how confidence operates at all, right? And Gordon, I don't know if we can pull up the first slide.
Do it.
Yeah,
right now, guys.
Yeah, but it's not waiting to be confident before you act. It's you act, and as you act, you actually gain confidence. That's how confidence is built. And also something that I think is really important for people to understand. People say, I want to be more confident, and things like that. But the fact of the matter is, everyone has confidence because at some point in time, we've all acted at one point in time to accomplish something that we could be proud of. The problem is that we don't actually tie those accomplishments together, or we devalue them because we're the ones that did it, as opposed to really giving it that value, like I accomplished something. And so that's one of the major killers of confidence too. But we'll get into all that today. So today, guys, we're going to be talking about confidence.
Yeah, last workshop we do every month. Every month at the end of the month we do a workshop like this. So last month's workshop was about communication, right? Today's workshop is about getting the execution of confidence, so you can walk around proud with yourself, control your nervous system, and do all the good stuff from a coaching standpoint, from a therapist standpoint. And Doc, let's get on to it. Let's see. Do we need to go with the next slide? Like the slide is? Okay.
Yeah.
You don't need confidence to act. You act to gain the confidence. And that's really deep. So if you're watching this on TikTok, if you're watching us on Instagram, you might not be able to see the slide. Go on to YouTube, go on to our Facebook channel, see the slides, comment below PDF or slides, and see if we can get these slides to you. All right, let's rock and roll, Doc.
All right.
Here we go.
All right. Ooh, can we hide that little part on the bottom that says the sharing part?
Oh, shoot.
Yeah.
My screen is too big. There we go.
All right. So the first step, we're going to be talking about the arena of failure, right? Why when we try to do things, it doesn't work, if we even get to it anyways, right? A lot of times we fail before we even actually execute anything, because in our mind, we think it's going to be too hard, or, we overthink things, right? That's not what we're talking about right now, but I'm just saying, this is where a lot of us, exist, unfortunately. And there's this trap where we're waiting for motivation before we do something. Well, when I'm motivated, then I'll do it. When I'm motivated, I'll get to the gym. When I'm motivated, I'll work on my relationship, or wait for what's called in counseling, a motivational crisis. I'll start doing something different when I absolutely have to. But I'm here to tell you, that's not the best way to go about it. That's not the best way to go about it, right? And if you wait for that, if you have that belief, right? So that's the trap. You're relying on your motivation to actually start moving, but that's the illusion, though. Like when that feeling comes, when I'm motivated, that's when I'll actually make change. But the reality of the situation is, the reason why your life looks exactly the same as it did last year, and the year before, and the year before that, and the year before that, is because you keep doing the same things over and over again. You're not executing. You're waiting for a feeling to come. And sometimes that feeling does come, but that feeling also goes. That's the thing. Emotions, they're not there to maintain any type of behavior over an extended period of time. They're here to give you a message, and then once you respond to that message, they go away. So maybe you did get that motivation. Your body was like, hey, listen, you need to get it together and start moving, right? And so you get that burst of energy and motivation, but the message received. Okay, you started moving, but because you didn't put a plan of action in place, you weren't disciplined. You didn't keep moving. You let your emotions dictate. I'm tired. It's been a long day. I don't feel good. I'm not in the right headspace. I'm just overwhelmed. You let all these things move you away from doing what you know to do. And then before it's all said and done, you're right back in the same cycle, doing the same thing, thinking the same way, and getting stuck. And that's why you can't make progress. You have a ton of great ideas, but none of them come to fruition because the new idea, the novelty is exciting. It's like, ooh, shiny, and you're doing it. But then when that wears off, the feeling wears off, you don't want to do it anymore. Right? And so, and then now what ends up happening, this is why this place is so dangerous, because what ends up happening, what do you end up doing? Now you start counting all the failures you had. I tried that, didn't work. Tried that, didn't work. Tried that, didn't work. Tried that, didn't work. So what's the point of even trying anymore? So now we start building that scenario that keeps you stuck even further. So this is the arena of failure, guys. This is where we're going to be working on today and how to get you out of this, how to break these cycles so that you could actually start executing on your ideas and see them through to fruition so you can start being successful on the other side and actually having that confidence.
No, absolutely. Because a lot of people, they don't have the confidence for certain things because they haven't experienced a lot of things or they haven't learned, right? A lot of what Doc says is to execute what you say you're gonna do in micro reps. We'll go into that later on, so that you can actually move on because there's no losing situations. There's only things that you can learn. And confidence is one of them. And once you, let's say, command confidence, like how we command respect and be the sovereign 11 man that you want to become, it all changes because now you're going to be, I wouldn't say a cocky overconfidence, but you're going to be authoritative, which is completely different. All right, let's go with the next one. There we go.
Right.
The
Actually,
motivation myth, Doc.
and actually, before we even go into that, one of the things that I wanted to talk about, I want to give you guys the actual definition of what confidence is. I think that's important for us to frame what this workshop. You understand exactly what confidence is, because a lot of people think it's just this boost of like you kind of maybe arrogance, or maybe it's this this energy or this space where we're just conquering and doing all these things, and maybe some elements of confidence could be like that, in areas where we're really skilled and knowledgeable. But if we just kind of take it down to like the base level, what confidence is simply doing the thing that you said you were going to do. And it doesn't matter what it is. If you said you're going to do it, you said you're going to be there, you said you're going to accomplish it, you're going to graduate, you're going to do whatever it is you said. It's simply that I'm doing the thing that I said I was going to do. So in order to build the confidence, again, like Gordon said, there's things we can do. There's steps we can take to consistently and constantly build confidence to a place where even if you do come up against a situation that you're not familiar with, you have enough evidence behind you to know that I have the ability to figure out whatever comes in my way, overcome any challenge that comes in my way. And so, we'll work into all that. I just wanted to make sure that you guys understood what we're talking about as far as confidence is concerned. So, the motivation myth. I was touching on this a little bit before, right? So, the motivation myth is this: it's you're waiting for motivation, right? So you're kind of sitting around waiting for some feeling to come upon you, right? Maybe you just have maybe you're just highly caffeinated, or you just had a great night of sleep and you just feel like so energized, so motivated, right? And then that carries you for a little bit. Might carry you for a day, might carry you for a week. Heck, some people might carry you for 2 weeks, even up to a month, possibly, right? Maybe, right? But that energy does not last for long, right? It's like a jump start. It gets you going, but it's not there. It's not designed to keep you going. And so what ends up happening is eventually you're going to come up against something. Like you're going to come up with some friction, some type of obstacle, some type of fear, something you haven't dealt with, something that you have no idea about. You're going to come up against some type of obstacle that's going to quickly drain whatever motivation, energy you had left. And then what ends up happening is then you drop all of that, you return to the waiting room, and now you're just waiting for that feeling to come around again. And this is what happens over and over and over again. Right. And so you know, something that's here on the slides, I like what it said. It says your body does not believe your goals. Your body only believes your patterns. That's critical.
Ooh,
You
critical.
might want to be the best husband in the world, best businessman, best father, all that, and talk the best game ever. Your body's like, I don't care about none of that. You know, all I care about is the patterns that we've developed. And we've developed the pattern of motivation comes, energy leaves, friction happens, we rinse and repeat. We quit and we rinse and repeat. Like that, that's it, right? So I'm not saying motivation is a bad thing. It's great to be motivated. I think listening to, you know, like motivational speakers or things like that in the morning, it's a great way to start the morning, right? Get that nice energy boost. It just won't keep you.
Correct.
Motivation will never, ever keep you. Discipline will keep
Exactly.
you.
I was just
You know,
about to say.
doing what you don't want to do over and over and over again, that will keep you, because you'll get to a point where even when the energy's gone, your body will just start moving. You'll just start dragging yourself, especially if you have certain accountability things in place. You'll just start doing it because this is just what we do. That's the pattern, right? That's the pattern. The pattern is we get up, we go work out, right? But I'm tired. Yeah, but the pattern is, your body says, but the pattern is we get up and work out. You know, you come through into obstacle or a challenge. No, oh man, I feel like quitting. Oh man, this is so hard. This is too much. Da, 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 da. Yeah, that's all great and well, but the pattern is we keep pushing forward and we overcome this. That's the pattern. But we don't have
Yep.
any ideas. The body says, doesn't matter. It's the pattern that we're following, period. So once you create those good patterns, you create those patterns by being disciplined and doing the same things over and over again that help you get to where you're going. That's the pattern that's built, and that's what's going to survive. So you can break out of this motivation loop. Instead of waiting to be motivated, you break out of that. And then once you break out of it, then you can actually start making real progress in your life in whatever area you're trying to make progress in.
No, you're 100% because discipline will trump over anything else you do. Because once you get that discipline, motivation steps on the back burner because it changes your behavior. And it also changes your behavior and your confidence level and what you can do. It's like if you take all the situations that you've been through in your life, you should have some sort of confidence because you came through it, right?
Yeah.
If you didn't come through it and you start looking at ways to kind of sabotage yourself, how is that confident? How is it you become the authority for your family, yourself, and basically what we're going to be talking about in these other slides? Because if you don't start keeping your word to yourself, how are you going to start keeping your word to your nervous system, to your mentality, to your respect,
Mm-hmm.
to the people? It all has to start with you. The man in the mirror. Michael Jackson just came out with the movie. But you got to see the man in the mirror controls everything with discipline, behavior, and everything else exudes out of you. Now, if you have confidence, that's one thing I can talk about through our things. Having confidence when sometimes you don't even think you do have it. But once you start moving in that behavior, like Doc said, going to the gym. If I don't go to the gym, my behavior is something's wrong with me already. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the same thing. If you don't take your kids to school and you feel like you can't do it because you're not motivated, it's the same thing. And it's
Mm-hmm.
the same thing for your life. It just shifts in that direction.
Yeah.
All right. I mean, we'll keep it going.
Yep.
Woo, look at this.
All right.
This is all Doc's quotes right here. If you
Yep.
believe it or not.
So
Guys, if you're on stop Doc.
yeah, go ahead.
Doc, if you're on TikTok right now, you can watch the slides on IG, Boundaries and Brotherhood. You can watch it on our Boundaries Brotherhood channel. You can also watch it on our Facebook channel, YouTube channel. It's not going live on the website yet, but that's coming soon.
Yes. All right. So yeah, guys. So it's not about it being an emotion, right? Right. It's about, I love what this slide says. It's a behavioral covenant that you're making with yourself. You're making this with yourself. You're saying, I'm going to show up and do the things that I'm supposed to do, regardless of what I feel, regardless of what's going on, regardless of what my past says. I'm going to show up and I'm going to keep showing up because that is a covenant I've made with myself. Right. And a lot of these covenants that we make with ourselves when it comes to building confidence are tied to our belief. I'll give you an example. I have a belief that I'm an athlete. That's just through and through. So because I'm an athlete, there's certain actions and behaviors and weights and things of that nature that I have to be at because that regardless of what's going on, I have to be that because that's who I am. Right. So once you identify that, and you again, you know who you are, and you, hey, this is what I want to accomplish, and this is what I do. Right. This is the type of man that I am. This is what he does. He's disciplined. He shows up. He works out, takes care of his body. He takes care of his family. He's emotionally regulated. Once you start shifting your mindset into that space, and you start raising those standards, then you don't have to worry about this, right? Because you'll continuously keep your word to yourself, because that's what this is about. It's not about cheating your wife. It's not about cheating your kids. It's not about cheating the company. If you don't follow through on your word to yourself, you are cheating yourself. And that's the worst person you can cheat,
Huge.
right?
Yep.
The absolute worst. Everyone else can get on with their life and keep doing what they want to do. Everybody else, they'll be all right. So if you fall short and you don't do it, your wife will find a way and make it up. Your kids will find a way, that your coworkers, everyone else will find a way. So by you lying to yourself, what ends up happening is you're stuck. So it's critical for us. And again, I love that, again, going back over the definition, it's just doing the thing you said you were going to do, accomplishing the task you said you're going to accomplish. And maybe it doesn't look linear. Maybe there's ups and downs and pauses and things like that. But as long as you're making progress towards that thing, and once you accomplish it, you are keeping your word to yourself. So the execution part is so critical. It's not waiting for feeling. It's I'm doing it because I need to do it. I made the word to myself. I know I don't feel like it right now. I know it's not exciting anymore. I get that. There's lots of ideas that we come up with in the beginning. They're exciting. I get it's not exciting anymore, but I still got to execute. And I sent the email out last week to my clients in my private practice, where I was in that email, I was talking about how boring is good. Boring is important, because no matter what you're trying to accomplish in your life, there are going to be aspects where you're just getting repetitions and it's boring and you don't feel like showing up, and it's not exciting. Your relationship's not as exciting as it was anymore. Your kids aren't exciting as they were anymore when they were first born. Your job, whatever the case may be. And so because that energy is not there, that motivation's not there, that emotion's not there, you feel like quitting and giving up. You want to quit on your diet because it's not as exciting anymore. You want to quit on the workout because it's not exciting anymore. You got to get the repetitions in. Period. You have to get the repetitions in, and you keep showing up and you keep doing it. And hopefully I'm not getting ahead of myself, but I want to use this analogy and then I'll wrap this slide up. When you work out, right, maybe in the beginning you're energized and everything like that, right? And so you're doing your reps and everything like that. But do you understand that the repetitions, a lot of those repetitions beforehand, they're just leading up to where the growth really takes place? Because the real growth in an exercise and a workout, when you're lifting weights, the real growth happens in that last 1, 2, possibly 3 reps. That's where the real growth is, right? But you have to push all the way through to get there so you can actually grow. And so what I mean by this is it stops getting exciting when you get to that point. When you get to that point, it hurts. When you get to that point, you feel like you want to quit. When you get to that point, your body gets scared and your mind gets scared, like, oh, we don't want to get injured. But in order for us to grow, we have to get those reps in. We have to get to that point, right? So once we get to that point and push ourselves, that's where the growth takes place. That's where the change takes place. Now you add that concept to anything we're doing in life. You keep showing up, keep showing up, keep showing up. And then eventually something happens, something clicks. There's a tipping point where things blow up and things work out. But it will never get to that point if you just start, quit, and keep breaking this covenant that you made with yourself.
No, I mean that's just execution on everything, because everything the man above may have placed something in your path so that you can overcome. Once you overcome that thing, that situation, it could be a situation, it could be something you learn, it could be a personal situation. This is where confidence comes in play, because the execution part is what you did after that same thing happened again. Then, like Doc said, when it gets so boring, because it's like you running a Fortune 500 company because you've seen all the problems. That's what confidence is really all about. You've seen it through life. You've seen it through weathering the storm of a lot of things. And that's where you execute what you know. And this is where you command it all. Because once you command confidence, it becomes a different ballgame, because people get attracted to you. Dogs want to be around you. Kids want to be around you. The cat that's usually afraid of you want to come around you. And it's some things, those smaller things, because in those, like the slide says, in those private moments when you've done it that you don't even think you've done it, your word matches what you said to yourself, and then people notice that. And that's when you get the respect you deserve, because That's where it all starts from. It's not, sometimes it doesn't happen overnight though. But
Hmm.
Doc, let me ask you this. From a workshop point of view, you might be watching this video right now and you might be wondering, so how do I get to that point? Because I always seem to do it over and over again. What would be your one top thing before we move on to the one slide, besides the one that we already said?
Yeah. Get to which point?
Like say you're going through the same thing over and over again. What should a person do? What do you tell people in your practice that they might be doing this so they don't do it ever again?
So as far as uh, so I guess I answer from two standpoints. So I answer for one, and when it comes to building confidence, you know, first and foremost, you have to make sure that whatever covenant you're making with yourself aligns with your beliefs. Because
Mm,
the fact of the matter is, if it doesn't
big.
align with your beliefs, you're not going to do it. You're just
Yeah.
not. Right. Again, your body believes the patterns. Your patterns are your essentially your beliefs. Right. Now we can change those. Right. If you have negative beliefs, right, maladaptive beliefs, we can change those. But you have to do the work to change that. We're not going to go into all that today. Right.
Right.
That's different. Right. So
That's a whole thing.
so yeah, you definitely got to make sure what you're trying to accomplish aligns to your beliefs. The second thing is, you have to understand, if whatever you're doing, it should be something that's positive and that's something that's helping you, right? And it also should be the right thing to do. If so, what I always tell my clients is, do it because it's the right thing to do.
Yep.
That's important. Do it because it's the right thing to do. It's good for me to take care of my body. It's good for me to take care of my health, my nutrition. It's good for me to treat my wife the right way. It's good for me to treat my kids the right way, right? Don't automatically look for that reward on the other side. Like, you don't do the one set, of exercises and lifting weights, and maybe you push through and get the 1, 2, or 3 at the very end. You don't run to the mirror and say, "Are my abs in yet? Are my legs automatically defined yet?" No, no, no. You got to fall in love with the process of just continuously showing up. Like, this is just what I do. I continuously show up. The benefits of continuously showing up and getting the reps in are going to be everything else. That's all a bonus, right? The better relationship with your wife, the more money, the better relationship with your children, your better body, better health. Those are all extraneous bonuses to you just continuously showing up and doing the reps. So once you understand how this operates, once you understand that I just got to keep showing up and doing the right thing, and understand that when I show up and do the right thing and continuously do that, good things are going to happen. That's just what it is, right? That's the one of the laws of the universe, right? You reap what you sow. What you put out is what you're going to get back. That's just how it is. So if you keep putting in the work for something that's good, if you keep showing up and doing the right thing, then good things are going to happen to you. But if you keep breaking the contract, if you keep not showing up, if you keep making excuses, then that's the life you're going to have, right? All those things, those bonuses and benefits, you're not going to get those. And you will be staring longingly at all them other men that are getting those things and talking about how not fair it is, how good of a guy you are, and you deserve these things. But it's like, but if you're not showing up and doing the reps, if you're not doing that, or if you're finding excuses to why you can't do it, right? Because the fact of the matter is, we should never be making any excuse for not being able to do anything, because we got people, men with no arms and no legs, that are more successful than people that have their full faculties, right? We have people that are less intelligent than other people, and they become wildly successful simply because they're
Mhm.
willing to show up and do the reps and execute and fail and execute and fail and execute. And they'll keep going until they get what they want on the other side. So we got to stop making excuses as to why we can't do it, and we got to start showing up and making sure that our whatever we're trying to achieve aligns with our beliefs and our values, and just keep putting in the reps.
And that was the answer I was looking for, because I would agree 100% with everything you have to believe. Now, ooh, look at this thing. The diagnostics of the matrix. Oh. Now, when you compare this, guys, if you're watching this on TikTok, please go on to YouTube, Facebook, leave us a comment. You can get the PDF. You can see that if you're not watching this on all those other channels, you can watch the slides, because we got slides going on this one. So
Mm.
on this slide, we have, the alpha male in YouTube. You have the certain that's all crashing and burning, right? Then you have the fake confidence, and you have the metrics. Please explain, Doc, what's this all about? Because for us, for the young men that's in there, you might want to reconsider right now.
Yeah. So I remember we talked about this a while ago. I forgot when it was last year, but we were talking about, the difference between fake confidence and real confidence, right? And so that's what this matrix is talking about, right? And so I'll go through the different metrics, right? So we talk about, there's the foundation, there's the volume, how people show up, there's the requirement, right? As far as like, when do you actually show up to do that thing, the
Mm,
validation, and how we respond to fear, how people that are either fake confident or real confident, how they respond to fear. So let's go through fake confidence first. So the first one is that it's based off of emotion, right? It's based off just feeling good in the moment, or feeling, hey, I'm in this area where, maybe I'm skilled or whatnot. So it's based a lot on feelings, right? And a lot of times not even based off any hard proof or hard evidence, right? It's just based off feeling. Now, in the problem with this is, because there's a lot of guys that have fake confidence, and because they can, you know, really look so charming and charismatic and things like that, you could fool a lot of people, right? Into believing that you're confident. And then people trust you based off of that, right?
right.
But it's all emotions based, it's feeling based, that's not real confidence. And we'll get into what real confidence is in a second, but and then also what it looks like, right? As far as the volume. Like, fake confidence is loud, it's braggadocious, it's kind of in your face, it's arrogant, it's off-putting, right? It doesn't
Yeah.
make you feel secure, it doesn't make you, it just you look at someone like that and, man, that person's like a jerk, even if
What's
you're
an
really good
attention
at what
grab, right?
you do. Yeah. Even if you're really good at what you do, people will still look like, man, like, you got no humility, like, and there's a reason for that, right? There's a reason for that, which we'll get into that in a second when we talk about validation. I guess I can just talk about validation now, right? So
No,
we
absolutely.
people who are fake confident, they are desperate for outside external validation. They need you to feed their ego. They need,
Yep.
because that's the only thing, because that's their evidence, right? Oh, if I wasn't good, these people wouldn't be saying I'm good, right? So they thrive off of that. They thrive off of, and some people thrive off of negative energy too.
Yes.
And
Yep.
maybe this isn't new, but they will be confident because they say outlandish things and people hate them, and say all these things, and it makes it feel like, for them, that external validation and the negativity, it's like, oh, I must be right because I'm getting all these people riled up, so again, it's seeking external validation is a part of fake confidence. um Another thing is, wait until feeling ready, right? Like, that's also fake confidence. Like, you might talk a really good game, but you ask the question, like, what have you done? Have you executed? Well, no, it's not the right time yet. See, I gotta wait for, the government to pass this, or I gotta wait for, my wife to do that, or, hey, once I get my money right, then I can. Like, there's always some type of excuse, that keeps you from actually executing and moving forward, right? And then, as far as the responses to fear, right? You negotiate with discomfort. You, instead of saying, I'm going to push through, I'm going to get that 1, 2, or 3 extra reps. I'm going to stay a little bit longer. I'm going to work an extra hour. Instead of that, we start negotiating. Maybe this isn't for me. Maybe this isn't the right experience. There isn't the right opportunity. Maybe this isn't the right relationship. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's not. You start making negotiating because you don't like the way it feels. So fake confidence, will, run away from discomfort, right? And so that's what that looks like, And so if you're experiencing any of those, there is hope, right? But I think being able to be honest to ourselves and recognizing, okay, yeah, I see myself. This is all me, or, parts of this is me. We can change that, right? Because when we talk about sovereign confidence, that's based off, again, like the foundation's based off of who you are. Like I said, your belief, right? It's based off evidence, and you look back at the things you've accomplished and say, yeah, I can do hard things, I can overcome challenges, I can talk to people, I can do all these things, right? It's based off my identity, it's based in, it's related, relying on evidence, right? Not just thoughts that kind of are fleeting, right? Also, real confidence, it's calm, It's quiet.
I was just about to say,
It's
yeah,
yeah, it's internal certainty, right?
yeah.
It's you don't have I don't have to show off, right? If you want to be braggadocious and do all those things and make all this noise, and I'll just look at you and say, okay, all right. Like, well, you're not going to fight back. You're not going to. No, why? I'm not. I know you're wrong. You're not trying to listen. Why am I going to waste my time talking? Right. Like that level of confidence, for one, it can tick a lot of people off because they're looking for you to become riled up. And a lot of people with fake confidence, it's easy to rile them up. You just start touching on a few points. Real
Start
confidence
pushing
doesn't get
buttons.
riled up. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, real
I mean,
confidence.
even like
Yeah.
for everything that goes on, right? Who's the most dangerous man in the room? The most dangerous in the man in the room is the most quiet, secure, humble person because he knows what he's capable of.
Hmm.
That's the whole thing about confidence. And that's the difference between confidence that's fake, that want to be braggadocious, like you say, want to be all the validation on them, want to be able to push buttons. The person with the confidence that commands with his emotional and seems like he values himself and is seen, he don't want
Hmm.
to be seen, right? Because he already knows what he's capable of. And that's what this workshop is all about, guys, because the confidence, each one of you came out with some sort of confidence. It's just you lost it along the way because you believe somebody else instead of yourself. We
Hmm.
want to get that back to you because
Yeah.
we can give that back to you. Sky's the limit. Business, execution, whatever you want to, dating, the girl, the marriage, the family, everything else will fall in place. It's just getting you back to where your sovereignty system is within yourself. And I can speak from experience about that because I've been both, right?
Mm. Yeah.
Oh, look at this one. The unshakable truth. Man, these slides is smoking.
So actions precede belief, right? So I love this, and I used this quote before. I believe it comes from the military, where it says, "You don't fall you don't rise to your challenge. You fall to the level of your training," right? And so in this case, you don't rise to whatever the lofty goal is you have. You fall to the level whatever your belief is, right? That's why we have things that are called limiting beliefs, right? Because
Ooh,
that's the
mm,
the limit to which you can believe. If you only believe you can make six figures, then you will never make anything more than six figures. If you only believe that you're not worthy of love, that even when it comes, you will find ways to sabotage it so that you can stay at the level of whatever your belief is. And a lot of us get stuck. You've tried different things, you've tried different programs, you read different books, all those things like that, and you're wondering why you're still stuck in the same place. And that's because your belief limits you, right? But in order
see.
for us to change our belief, we have to take actions, and we have to take consistent actions over time. Because when you start taking actions, you start collecting evidence. Because after you go through the
Ooh,
whole
yeah.
process, right? And in CBT, there's a process where how beliefs are built, right? So you have like your perceptions, right? Things that you've gotten, and events happen. Events are filtered through those perceptions. Your perceptions generate a thought. That thought generates a feeling. That feeling generates an action. That action
Right.
generates a consequence. And it does it in a way to reinforce what you already believe or what you're being taught. Do that enough times, and then eventually that's now the pattern. So it works, but it works as well, right? If I don't want to believe that, if I want to be a better husband, for example, right, then then I have to identify, what does a better husband do? Well, a better husband kisses his wife before he leaves for work in the morning. So now I'm going to repeat that pattern over and over and over again. I'm going to take action because I need new consequences. I need new data to see, like, oh, it's showing up, right? And then once you do that over and over and over and over again, now you start creating a new belief. Now your limit is raised. Now you can believe for more. And it's the same thing. You believe, okay, I can only make $100,000. Okay, great. The six figures, you made six figures. Now you need to raise that belief. What do I got to do to make $1,000,000? Right. And I start doing those activities. Maybe it's I got to go network, or I got to get new technology, or I got to start hiring people. But you start doing that, and that action then starts recreating the reinforcement. And then when that reinforcement happens enough times, now you're making $1,000,000. Now you're like, oh yeah, this is easy, right?
Oh, yeah.
You see it time and time again, but there's got to be action. That's why execution is worshipped when you talk about being in the we talk about being like upper echelons of success, right? Because everybody there knows you got to execute. Having great ideas and having a good word game and things like that, it doesn't work at high levels. Now, granted, I won't say it won't get you far, right? It won't, but you won't stay there though. There's a lot of those scam artists that talk a phenomenal game and they'll get them far. They'll get money and they'll trick people and everything like that, but every single one of them falls. Every single one of them
Every
falls,
single one.
right?
Me
But the
included,
one,
I've done it.
yeah, but the ones that continuously take those actions, they get the reps in. They take the things that they have accomplished in their life, all of it, no matter how small or insignificant it might seem. Because here's the thing I need you guys to understand as well. Your brain is not adding value to the different events that happen in your life that you accomplish. It's not saying, oh, I graduated high school, so that's a 10. College is a 20. But when I passed, fifth grade, that was only a 2 or a 1. Your brain doesn't look at it like that. Thing. Your brain says either we accomplished it or we didn't. It's like pass fail. Like that's what it is. Yeah. Either we accomplished it or we didn't. Did we graduate? All right, that's 1 point. All right. Did we finish? Did we complete this work? Lose the weight we said we were going to lose? No. What happened? Well, I didn't finish it. Well, that's 0 points. That's the way it looks at it. So it's important for you to connect all of your victories, no matter how seemingly small they are, to connect those, because that's your evidence for you to start taking action on, because you're going to come up against something that you've never done before. That's going to happen. If you're going to grow, you have to come up against something you never experienced before. How do you handle something you never experienced before? When you look back on your past and all the things you accomplished and all the skills you learned along the way and all the losses that you thought you took, which were actually learning experiences, you take that and you bring that to bear against this new thing. Maybe I haven't done this specific thing before, but I have so much experience in the confidence from the things I have accomplished. I cannot bring it to bear against this. Then I can learn, fumble through it, fail, get up, accomplish it, overcome it. And now I have another thing to throw in my bag that I was successful at. And I just keep stacking those wins. So ultimately, guys, yes, action precedes belief. Don't wait for the feeling. Don't wait for, well, I'm going to wait till I get the belief first. No, start doing, just do this, right? Real simple. The version of man I want to be, how does he respond? How does he move? How does he act? What does this man do in this situation? Like, what does he do? Well, the man I want to be, he shows up and he works out every day at 4 o'clock in the morning. Then get up at 4 o'clock in the morning and work out. You keep doing that. And then, well, what else? Well, how's he handle his relationship? Oh, he communicates well with his wife. He's not reactive. Do that and do it consistently. And this is so critical. I want you guys to understand. Stop looking for the results. A lot of you,
that's deep.
Why you quit so soon, because you are just so desperate to see the results.
Yeah.
I've been communicating with my wife, great for, 4 weeks and she's still tripping. It doesn't work. The problem is not that it doesn't work. The problem is you're looking for the results. You're thinking these 4 weeks are going to replace those 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years of poor treatment. That's very unrealistic. Just like, oh, I've been working out for 4 weeks. I should have at least lost 20, 30 pounds by now. Well, you've been eating horrible for the last 10 years. And you're barely even putting in real effort these last 4 weeks. What the problem is, you're looking for the results. The results, those are extraneous. Those will come along the way. Those are bonuses. The real value is becoming the man that you want to be. That's the real value. Because once you become the man you want to be, everything else falls in place. The money, the health, the relationships, everything falls into place, because that's who he is and that's what he believes and that's what his standard is. So stop looking for the results and start looking for, can I become the man that I want to be? And you start doing what that man does. And before it's all said and done, you will be that man. And you will look back and like, man, that's crazy. I never knew I could actually be this. But because I kept taking the actions, right, that created the belief that then reinforced and created more actions. There's a reason why I'm 40. How old am I now? 41, I think.
You're still young. What are you talking about? You're still young. You can't remember your age. You're still young. And you're confident about your age.
But here's the thing, right? Here's the thing. I started working out when I was 16 years old.
Okay.
41 now. I have not stopped in all that
Yeah.
time. Have there been moments? Again, I told you, it's not a perfect journey. It's not linear, ups and downs or whatnot. But have I been doing it? Yeah, I've been working out since I was 16. I have been working out. I'll say this, there has not been a year in my entire life when I have not worked out for some extended period of time. And these last years since COVID have been the most consistent. So, but how was that possible? Because there was a belief. I'm an athlete. Athletes work out. And so that belief kept feeding the action, right? You know, or I should or I should say, let me rephrase that. I'm sorry. That is true as well. But started the action was I wanted to become an athlete, right? I wanted to play football. And so I started taking action so I can be better in football. But that those actions I took created and informed that belief of, oh, I'm an athlete. And this is what athletes do. They work out. And so I kept doing that over and over again. So now, again, I'm 41 years old. I was 16. I can't do the math on that. But I've been doing the same thing, for a very, very long time. I think it's 25 years, if I'm not mistaken. But but it's critical to take action. Don't wait for the feeling to come. Start taking action and executing.
No, I mean it works for everything. What's up, Big Ben? Mouse right there. But I mean, even he can test to everything. Like when we see all these young guys not even having the confidence or it's false confidence what they have, and they start protruding on other things, the level of your goals might be something else in a different age bracket too, or a different phase of your life, right? So I understand it's not your identity that you're figuring out right now, but when you fall into traps, that's when your confidence goes astray. Because once you trap yourself, you're through because you're believing somebody else's bullshit, right? We're all guilty of it. I'm guilty of it because you want, like Doc said, that validation sometimes is a motherfucker that sometimes take. But this is where we did this workshop because you might be in a state where, Mayor, last week's podcast was about, having that person that gonna nudge you, not just like a full-on workshop or anything like this, but just says it'll be all right to gain your confidence back, to push you in the right direction at that certain time. Guys, if you're watching this on TikTok, go to the YouTube channel, go to our Boundaries and Brotherhood Facebook and see the slides. And if you're not, you get that alert pop in you. I'm doing commercials on my podcast for my own product. I love it. Okay, we can't see. This is the one that it doesn't come out too clear, but you can see it. Do you want to go over this one, this slide, cool. Or does it make a difference? Self-efficacy and stuff.
That should be fine.
Right.
And so as far as like self-trust, and knowing that you're going to accomplish a thing that you said you're going to do, just going to hit you with some neuroscience real quick. And I almost spent a bunch of time on it, but there's the idea in neuroscience called neuroplasticity, where you're essentially your brain, the structure of your brain can change and we can essentially learn new things, right? So there used to be this idea in the past where like however you're born. That's just it. If your brain's stuck in a certain way, you get a certain IQ, that's just it, right? But now we know that if we are able to repeat certain behaviors over and over and over again, then our brain structure can change and we can become different people altogether, right? And and as far as like the myelination, it's essentially just really it's creating those patterns within you, right? The more you do something, and especially the more emotion you put behind it too, and that's like a little bonus for you guys, right? If you really want to make progress, put emotion behind what you're doing, because when you add emotion to any event or anything you do, it strengthens that pathway, right? So as much as you can put emotion behind it, that's important. That's the reason why some things in your life when you were growing up, they stick with you, or some things throughout the day, they stick with you, and other things you can't even remember. You drive home from work, you don't even remember the drive home from work, right?
Yeah.
But if you had an argument with your wife and it was a really bad argument, then you're probably going to remember that trip home because there's emotion tied to it. So the more emotion you can put into a lot of the behaviors and actions that you're doing, the stronger you're going to have that myelination and creating those neural pathways, right? And in self-efficacy, that's just, again, just you being able to do the things you say you're going to do, right? In a sense of I know I can take care of myself and handle things myself, right? Not saying we can't reach out for help, but I'm just saying in this aspect of creating a new belief, of building that confidence, it's critical for us to look at it and say, look at all the stuff that I've accomplished. Look at all these things. And when you start enumerating them, because again, the brain doesn't say the value of it, it just says, did I complete it or not? When you start looking at that, it helps immensely with self-efficacy, because even if you don't have that knowledge to handle a situation, you can find a way to figure it out because of all that body of evidence you have going forward. So for instance, I know my dad didn't teach me a lot of things about cars or maintenance of a house or things of that nature. But because I have all these things that I have accomplished, I know I have the capacity to learn and figure it out, or also know if I need to, for instance, with my car, take it to someone to get taken care of, right? I have that capacity to do that. And so, again, that comes from really stacking all of our wins and remembering those wins and bringing that confidence to bear against new challenges.
No, that's a 100% true, because the experiences that you have going through life is what builds your confidence. If thens and dots, backwards and forward. Like you said, somebody might not have taught you, but you're gonna learn through experience how to close, how to do anything in your life, because you have to, right? It's the same thing. Like it's like for me and my oos right here. It's like I might not be the most confident person in the world going into certain situations, but the experiences you have is what drives you to become confident because of those, because you know how to handle the situation backward, forward, from all different angles, so that you can come through. And that's what people gets, to me, misconstrued. Confidence ain't loud. Confidence, it ain't braggadocious. Confidence is a good confidence is smooth, right? Confidence is secure. So confidence is having that self-esteem to have that control that you want to have into it and everything else. Because if you don't have that, you're just faking it along the way.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
here, oh, is this the? Oh no, I went backwards. There we go.
No. Go up one.
Oh, this
Yeah.
one. Okay, the
Yeah.
confidence. Yep.
Yeah. But we won't spend a whole bunch of time here because we kind of just talked about it in a lot of the
Yeah.
other slides as well. But this is just how the confidence loop looks like. And essentially, how it's supposed to start, right? This is how it's supposed to start. But if we want to change it, that's when action precedes it. But we have an identity. We state, who I am. I'm a man who does this, or I'm the type of person that does that, right? That's what we say, right? And then we take an action that aligns with the identity, right? That action and the results are going to give us evidence we need. That evidence starts forming the belief, and then what happens is then we go and start updating our identity and reinforcing it, and then we keep going around in circles over and over again, right? So that's why you hear they're saying, I know Dr. Eric Thomas said it, like, where winners win and losers lose, right? you know People who practice a habit of winning, what are they doing? They're doing winning things. They're showing up to practice. I'm going to get into the whole thing. They're getting the reps in, and whatever their area is, they're getting the reps in their relationship, in their business, in their sport, in their they're getting the reps in. Losers lose. Why? Because they're not getting the reps in, right? Or they have the wrong mindset. And so when you have that consistency of losing, so we're not talking about sometimes you win, sometimes we're not talking about that. We're talking about people who have a pattern of, and even taking it away from sports. Look at people in their lives, right? There's a reason why you keep on messing up in relationships. You keep doing the wrong things over and over again, or you're not doing the right things over and over again. And so it keeps ending up the same way over and over again, versus the people who are successful in relationships. They keep doing the right things over and over and over again. Right. So it's you have to kind of time back to what we were just talking about how the neuroplasticity and the myelination and things of that nature, right? You're creating those patterns. And some of us have got those patterns created when we were children, right? Maybe abusive parents, neglectful parents, things like that, and while that sucks and that's horrible, right? It would be great if our parents were on the up and up and they gave us the right beliefs, and then we could have a good start. But we can't wait on, they're not going to save us.
Yeah. Right? I mean, I'm gonna give you this question from my Uso back in Hawaii right now, right? Big Ben. right? He says, I'm not sure if this generation plays into this scene what we were talking about, this workshop. It seems like every generation mind differs. How would you answer that, Doc?
No, they're all the same.
They're all the same.
Solomon said
Is it
there's nothing new
to
under the
me
sun.
when I
No.
see that?
Yeah.
Their information, they have so much information out there, they think they know until they experience it. That's the way I
Well,
see it. But it
well,
still stays the same.
well, here's the thing, right? And the reason why I say that is because I've worked with guys that were older, I've
Correct.
worked with guys that were younger, right?
Right.
I keep hearing the same thing.
Right.
Same,
That's why I said the
it,
same.
it's not I've not been stumped by someone that came in. Is like, you know what, this is the way I think. The generation I'm from, it's the exact same thing because we're humans, right?
Correct.
Maybe the environments change and things like
Yeah.
that, but like we as people have not changed.
Haven't
We keep doing
changed.
the same exact thing. We all want to be loved, and we try to go about it in a certain way, and it doesn't work. And I won't go too far into that, but
Yeah.
but it's the same thing, the same doubts, the same fears, it's all that stuff. It's exactly the same, right? I think just what happens is that sometimes what we'll see is we'll take extreme things that were not common in our generation that we just didn't see, right? And it'll be like, look at this
Perfect.
generation, they're going crazy. Oh my gosh, look at all this, look at all that, right? You know, but if you look at that generally across the board and you were to go back, it's the same stuff. It's the
It's the
same
same.
stuff, right?
Emotional
And it might
people
be
is just
packaged a little
different
bit
scenario.
differently,
That's
but it's the same thing. Yeah.
yep. What's up, Jeff? All right, next slide. Look at this one. Micro reps.
All right.
This is your word. This is a Doc's quotes right here.
So when it comes to micro reps, right? So when we talk about the repetition, a lot of times people think, oh, you got to do these big things over and over again, right? No, it's not. Again, I told you the way the brain operates, it's just ones and zeros. Either we did it or we didn't do it, right? And so if we even take something and break it up into its simplest form, like let's say you want to build a better relationship with your wife, and it's like, well, the communication and then this, and then we had this problem, and then there was infidelity, and then there's all these big things. It seems like this insurmountable task, right? So it's like, why even try? Well, instead of trying to eat the whole elephant in one bite, let's just start small.
Right.
Maybe I'm just going to say good morning to her, and I'm going to keep doing that every day, or I'm going to give her a kiss every day, and you just do that small thing, and it stacks up, and then you add to it, right? Okay, and I'm to say good morning. Now I give her a kiss. Now I'm going to send her a funny meme every day. Okay, now I'm doing those 3 things. I'm stacking those. Now I'm going to give her a hug every day. Now I'm going to do this every day. And you just keep stacking them, and you keep stacking them, and you keep nothing big, nothing extravagant, right? And again, I know this stuff it's not flashy. Maybe if you're looking for the big flashy thing, there's people out there that probably do a big flashy thing, but I'm telling you right now, it always comes back to the bare basics, bare bone basics minimum right here, where I'm just showing up consistently, right? That's it. I'm finding the smallest thing I can change, and I'm changing it, and I'm changing it consistently. And I'm not going to stop doing that, because that's what people have a bad habit of doing when it comes to micro reps, right? They'll start doing one thing, and then when the next thing's introduced, they'll stop the other thing and now do the new thing, And so, and then they get the next thing, they'll stop doing that thing, they'll do the next thing. And then that fades away, and the second thing fades away, and then you're wondering why you're not getting anywhere. You have to stack these up. Once you start stacking these up, you start stacking these wins and stacking these behaviors before it's all said and done. Like, this is just what I do. I give you guys an example. Like for me, there's things I do for my wife. One of the things I do for her every morning is make coffee, right?
Okay.
It's so built into me now. I sometimes don't even recognize it. There's sometimes, she'll ask you make coffee. I'm like, oh shit, I think I forgot. I look in the coffee pot and it's in there. I'm like, oh, I guess I didn't forget, right? But
that's good.
What happened though, right? It's now part of who I am.
Yes.
But it was the micro reps. When she was mad at me, guess what I was still doing? Making the coffee. When I was mad at her, guess what I was still doing? Making the coffee. When I went out of town, guess what I made sure happened? There was coffee set up for one so she can get a coffee, right? Like, it was just built in. It was just the micro reps. And I stack on top of that all these other things, and the communication, the appreciation, and things of that nature. I start stacking that up. And then now I have this freight train of momentum moving forward. And it's like, You don't even recognize it because this is just what we do. This is what I do. This is how I show up. So take whatever thing you're trying to do, right? If it's just, hey, I'm trying to, go to the gym and have this great, phenomenal workout, everything like that, I'd be like, hold up, slow down. Okay, first let's identify what's keeping you from going to the gym now. Oh, well, let's just say it's tying your shoes, right? Use that as an example. That's actually a personal example. But let's just say something like that, right? Okay, well, how about this? I want your goal is I'm going to either find slip-on shoes, or I'm just going to focus on every day. I'm going to wake up and I'm going to make sure I tie my shoes, right? Not even go to the gym. I'm just going to wake up and make sure I tie my shoes. And then you start doing that. And then you start, well, okay, now I'm going to go for a walk. So I'm going to tie my shoes, then I'm going to go for a walk. And then once you start doing these things, again, you start stacking them before it's all said and done. Yeah, now you're doing the big, super massive workout where you're doing backflips with, while deadlifting at the same time. Like now you're doing crazy stuff like that. But it all comes from those micro reps. It's the smallest, seemingly insignificant thing, but you do it and you stack it. Before it's all said and done, not only are you the man that you want to be, but all the stuff that you wanted to come along with it comes along with it.
No, I mean, 100%. You have to do small stuff. It's like having a drop of water that's going to build up into a big pool. Like that's the same thing. You have a drop of water going into some sort of basin. The next thing you know how big it's going to get, how fulfilled it's going to get, and how much damage it also can create for that one pool of drop of water. It's the same thing. It's a ripple effect going into through small rippling actions. You cannot lift, you cannot be benching 315 if you haven't started out with just a bar, right? You have to work up to everything else, especially with everything else in business. You have to have all those small mistakes to become that go-to guy that's going to call that has all the answers, right?
Yeah.
And if you wake up to certain things, because the brain is not going to matter, it's like the brain is going to know, is it accomplished something or not? Because that'll pull into two different directions, right?
Yeah.
Let's see. Oh, did somebody get locked out?
All right. So,
all right, let's talk about this one.
Yeah. I love this. Fear is a signal, not a stop sign. I always try to tell people that when it comes to anxiety, if you're looking at the wrong way, it's going to devastate your life. Anxiety and fear, pretty much one and the same, at least in my opinion. Some people might differ on it, but long story short, when it comes to anxiety, when it comes to fear, the message that you're getting is, do we have the capacity to handle the thing that's coming our way? The meeting, the conversation, the task at hand, whatever. That's the only thing it's asking you. Do we have the capacity to handle this thing, right? And if we operate with the old myth, right, where, well, I'm going to wait until, I'm no longer afraid to act, or where I don't have anxiety so I can be in a good headspace, then what ends up happening is you never end up acting. Yeah.
True.
You just don't. If you don't understand what the message is giving you, you're not going to know how to respond to it. And you're just going to wait for something that may never come, because the fact of the matter is, when we have those moments, and if we answer the question, and a lot of times, if you want to really grow, the answer probably should be no. Yeah, I don't know if I'm ready for this big meeting. I've never done a big meeting like this before. And so the simple response is to execute, right? And that's what courage does. That's what, like, the sovereign reality, that's what that does, right? I execute. No, I don't have the capacity to handle this, so I'm going to execute. I'm going to learn how to, communicate better with my wife. I'm going to learn how to hold big meetings or seminars, or I'm going to learn how to network, or whatever it is. But someone who's confident, that's why they look at that message. I don't have the information. I am not ready. How can I get ready? What can I do to get ready so I can take advantage of this opportunity? Right. And then I'm going to execute and take action on that thing. Right. Again, especially when you have all that momentum behind you, and it makes it a lot easier to say, okay, well, this is how I got to work to try to find a way to solve this. But if you don't have any momentum behind you, if you're separating all your achievements and you're amplifying all your losses and you're looking at it like that, then you're going to rock with the old myth of, oh, I act once I'm no longer afraid, when conditions are perfect, and then we all know there's never a perfect conditions. And again, if you're waiting for that emotional, motivational little boost, unfortunately, it's not going to last, because the boost may kick you up. But if you make any progress beyond what you believe, you're going to come right back down to where you were and be in that same cycle over and over again.
Yeah, and we don't want that, because that's the thing is, you want confidence to sustain through everything that you've done, through what you've been through, because that's like what Doc said, right? The old myth, you're gonna act no longer afraid. That's just old, right? If you're gonna
Yeah.
act on what you already know, and you're already from the evidence of what you created before and what you've been through, it's not gonna change. Your
Yeah.
emotions not gonna change. The way you behave is not gonna change. You might get a little cocky, but that's
Mm-hmm.
some that might it's something that you have to go through, and that's where humility comes in to effect. When I can speak for myself, like, you know at sometimes I do get cocky, and my humility is not even there, but I've deserved. I tell myself that, the things that I've been through is, most people don't come out alive from. But even like some of my guys on this stream right now, right? If I was back in Hawaii, I'd be like criminal royalty, but I don't want that life, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because what does it get me anywhere? But am I confident to know I can steer away from it? But it's always dormant in me at any given time, right? And that's what's cool about it, because it's secure, right? When you have security within yourself, knowing that you can keep your word to yourself and keep the word to the man up above, that's when you know you have power within yourself, and all that qualities that other men might be looking for, not this bodacious type of thing.
Yeah.
Oh, let's see. All right.
All right.
Okay.
All right. So for this one, guys, I think it's really important, that failure is not failure, right? It's data, right? That's
Data.
it. Yeah, that's all it is, right? It's information that tells you, okay, where did I fall short, and what can I learn from this, and how can I move forward? That's it. If you look at failures like that, instead of looking like, oh, I'm this horrible, like, taking it on as your identity. Oh my gosh, I can't do it. How do I? Oh my god! Like if you just look at it, like, okay, I made a mistake, I messed up. What can I do different next time? And you learn, and you continuously learn. And as you keep doing that, then guess what happens? Then you start changing. You start doing things different. And maybe you fail and then learn and fail and then learn and fail and then learn. And people call it failing forward. But as you keep doing that, then guess what happens? You end up creating essentially, learn all these skills and everything in order to overcome whatever your issues, whatever your problems are, right? And that's it, right? I made a mistake. I learn from it. I grow because I make adjustments and I do something different next time. And I keep doing that and doing that and doing that until eventually, I get to this space where I get the success comes, right? But you got to make sure you change how you view failure, because if you don't, you're going to amplify it and it's going to destroy your confidence. It's going to be very
Yep.
difficult for you to move forward. But if you look at it, it's I never lose, I only learn, then that just becomes another point of data in your link of confidence. Because like, okay, I learned from that. And so I get better. And I learn from that and I get better. I learn from that and get better. So that's how you got to look at your failures. I'm learning from them and becoming better as time goes on.
Well, it's the same with failure. Failure is like even in sports, when you're an athlete. If you look at all the athletes from high school that peaked out during those things, like say in Little League or something like that, because they had an ego, they thought they was all that and then some, but they failed in high school. It's the same thing. They
Yeah.
didn't learn nothing. They figured they just did it. But the ones that kept driving, they kept making it happen. They be doing it, working hard, gaining confidence. Guess what happens? Full ride, full everything. The ones that you expected to, you think didn't even come close. And it's the same thing with
Yeah.
life, because a lot of times people just want to keep getting better. And if you're going through some sort of system situation where you're unconfident about that situation, you're a man looking for a direction and purpose, or you're not being valued or seen in your family, that's the people we want to work with. So you can pull that gem out of you, right? Because a lot of times you just need the encouragement and a little direction and maybe an app and a doc. Oh, here's this. Look at this.
We might have to condense some of these because
Absolutely, go ahead.
Time.
Do you think?
So all right. So we're gonna for this one, as far as like updating your internal script, right? Just to kind of keep it simple, what's the story you're telling yourself, right? If you're telling yourself a story that's disempowering, then you're going to get disempowering results. If you tell yourself I'm not lovable, I'm not enough, nobody cares about me, whatever it is, right? I can't do this. It's too hard. This is all the ways it won't work. If that's the script you have, then you will never be able to have the life you're looking for. You must update that internal script, right? And as it says in this slide, like, you're either going to do it or you're not. You're either showing up or you're not, right? There is no in between. Trying isn't a real thing, right? It's just not. If I tell you to try something, you're either going to do it or you're not going to do it. There is no trying. Like you either do it or you don't. And so when you identify who you want to be, and that's another thing as well. A lot of guys ask like, well, I got to find out who I am. Don't worry about who you are. Who do you want to be? Period. Who do you want to be?
Right? Who do you want to be?
Let's just skip all that identifying who you are. No, who do you want to be? What kind of man do you want to be? How does he show up with his finances? How does he show up in relationships? How does he show up in business? How does he show up with his friends? Identify who you want to be, create the script for that man, and then execute and do those things that man does. If you do that consistently, you become the man you want to be. You don't got to worry about who you used to be.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. I mean, that's who do you want to be is the whole thing. Next slide.
All right.
The 11th man archetype.
No, we can skip this one because it just condensed everything we talked about thus far, right?
Okay.
Right.
Yeah,
so let's give you guys.
We're
going to give you guys some strategies real quick, and then we're going to head on out. All right. So as far as like your daily covenant, right? These are the things you're going to want to do. You're going to want to set up, right, 2 micro reps. These are non-negotiable. It shouldn't take any time at all, right? And you're going to do those things consistently, right? Make it so easy. It doesn't make any sense not to do it. Like the example here, drink some water or take 10 deep breaths. Like so easy that it doesn't make any sense to do it, right? Or it makes sense not to do, I should say. Right. Yep. So you're going to select those. Now you're going to anchor those in time, right? So if you don't pick a specific time to do it, chances are you're probably not going to do it. So even if you identify something that's really, really easy, I can just do that whenever, your chances are you're not going to do it. Set a time in the morning, right? When I wake up, from 4 to 5, from 6 to 7, or when I get home from work, from 7 to 8, like set a time so that you could actually do those activities. All right. The third thing, make sure you're in an environment that works best for you. It's probably not a good idea to be trying to study in front of the TV where everyone's there and the things are going on. Like that's not going to work, right? It's probably not a good idea to read in a situation like that, right? So make sure your environment, right? You're setting your environment up that's going to cue you to do these things. It's going to help you and encourage you to do these things. Right? And the last thing is to enforce the rule, right? Right. Don't negotiate. Don't negotiate with yourself. And I'll just read from what it says right here. Like the only failure is breaking the chain 2 days in a row. Stop negotiating with yourself. Right. Yep. So whatever that rule might be that you set up, right? Don't just do it. Right. Hey, I can't miss, I can't miss 2 days in a row. I got to make sure that I'm on it. Right. And then make sure you're mindful and then you readjust. Remember, these things aren't hard to do. They're not hard to do at all. They're supposed to be really simple. So it's important to make sure that you enforce that rule so you can keep going. Also get some accountability. That works as well. If you could have like some type of built-in accountability or something that forces you to do it and show up like that, then that works as well. Right.
100% true. All right. Last slide, guys.
All right. So this is just, I love affirmations. Affirmations are important. Right. So this is, if you have you might be on your phone or whatever, you can take a picture or go back to this recording later on. I'd love for you guys to be able to write this down, this oath of execution, right? And it says right here, I'm just going to read it. It says, I'm a man who acts. I keep my commitments. My word is law in my life. I finish what I start. I choose courage over comfort. I trust myself. It is who I am. Right. And so, and I encourage you to say it. And when you say it with emotion. Say it like you mean it. Because again, emotion helps your brain to work with that myelination and really drive those patterns and that belief deeper inside yourself. So,
all right. I mean, a lot of times, guys, Doc's got to go. I'll finish this all up. guys. Doc, thank you. We had a technical difficulty in the beginning, but guys, Doc, if you have to go, I got this. Right?
All right.
I'm going to show them
Y'all
how to
take
do
care.
this.
Have a great and blessed day. And
Yeah, we
yeah.
had queued up for about 40 minutes, so that's all
All
right.
right. All right.
But
Everyone
guys,
take care.
if you're watching this on TikTok, go to the YouTube, look at our slides, comment on that bottom over there, and I'll send you the PDF to what's going on. Because this way, you can have everything that you wanted. Because this way, I can show you what we did and how we're gonna do this. Because at the end of the day, I want you guys to look at this, right? If you want more information on what we're doing, you can go on to boundariesandbrotherhood.com, right? And let's see if I can get this up. Boundaries and Brotherhood. Shoot. Right? And you can have, I put a lot of effort into this right here so that you guys can understand what we're offering, right? You can work with Doc. You can work with Doc personally on a personal level if you wanted to do that. You can work with me, Carrie. A new therapist is coming in right now and joining. We're coming out with another podcast that's at the building right now. But I just want to show that I also have a daily blog right here that might help you on from a women's point of view, from a men's point of view, from confidence to doing things to find focus, even all the way up to business in our community. Because the amount of people that when I've taken into consideration all the things that I've done in my life and I'm putting them all together in one place, I want you guys to have access to this. But the main thing is having these pillars to become the best man that you can be available for, not just yourself, which is going to be number one, for the man above your family and the future people that you come in contact with. I want them to gravitate to you. I want them to have confidence in what you do for them and not just being an asshole at that part. But I want you to understand that you could do anything you set your mind to do if you take small micro reps. At the end of the day, you want to be able to just become the best version of yourself. And I truly believe that, because when you look at what I've done in my life to become the person that is today, is not every day you get to have situations that come about that make you the authority figure that you want to become. Now, am I perfect? Hell freaking no. But can I get you to where you want to be comfortable with yourself? This is what I'm trying to say that we're going to be doing in our community and everything else. But I just want to say, you know what I mean? Go on to Boundaries and Brotherhood, figure out how we can get you these things and see how we can get you the help you need. All right, guys. Aloha. See you guys later.